Talk to fluency from beginner to fluent.
Take your English skills to the next level.
Hey there, you. You know when you're just chatting with a friend and it flows, feels easy, but you're actually talking about something kind of deep?
Yeah, totally.
Well, that's the vibe we're going for today. We're diving into something heaps of people are thinking about. The IELTS exam.
Think of it like we're hashing out how to get better at English, specifically for this big test, drawing on stuff we've both been looking into.
Exactly. We've waded through a whole bunch of different sources, advice from expert IELTS channels, bits of research.
Right, and we've tried to boil it all down. The mission, really, is to give you a shortcut to understanding IELTS prep, the tricky bits, and some, well, actually quite practical tips for speaking, listening, and writing.
Yep. Consider this your curated guide. We're cutting through the noise, pulling out those little nuggets, those aha moments that you might otherwise miss.
We want to get into what it really takes to, impress the examiners, but also, honestly, just feel more confident speaking English naturally.
Okay, so let's kick off with something that jumped out at me straight away. For IELTS speaking, it seems it's less about sounding super formal or like swallowing a dictionary. And more about just sounding natural, which feels like a big mental switch for some people.
Oh, absolutely. It really is. And what's so interesting is that gap between sort of textbook English and how people actually talk. We found this quiz, textbook versus native English.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
And it was brilliant. Like, instead of saying, I need to leave now, which sounds a bit stiff, a native speaker is way more likely to say, I gotta go right now. Or even just, I should get going. It's subtle, but yeah.
It totally is. Those little things, like saying, this makes me feel so angry. Okay, fine. But more natural, maybe more informal, is often, this pisses me off.
Right. And maybe not one for the exam room exactly, but it makes the point.
Yeah, exactly. Or I'm so tired becomes, I'm dead. Just common slang.
Yes. And my favorite from that quiz was, that is not a problem. It just melts away into, don't even worry about it. Or, the classic, no worries.
So easy.
Even something that feels quite proper, like I have completed the task, just becomes a simple, I'm done. It's about being efficient, flowing naturally.
So it's not like you're trying to be sloppy. It's just sounding like a real person having a chat.
Precisely. And this matters hugely when you think about what the examiners are actually listening for, especially for those top scores. We looked at feedback for someone who got band 9.0.
Wow, the top score, that's rare.
Extremely rare. And the feedback was clear. It is not about having a specific accent, like a, standard British RP or anything like that.
Oh, that's got to be a relief for so many people listening. So it's not the accent. What is it then?
It's things like clarity. Intonation, that's kind of the melody of your voice, right? How it goes up and down to show meaning or feeling.
Yeah, the music of it.
Exactly. Sentence stress, which words you emphasize. And connected speech, how sounds link together smoothly. These are the things that really count because they help the listener understand you easily.
Okay.
A Band 9 speaker isn't just saying words correctly. They're using all these features to make their meaning crystal clear, whatever their accent. So even little things like no duh or I get you, while informal, can be part of natural, clear communication in the right context.
That really is an aha moment. Natural means effective, clear.
Okay. And speaking of being effective, another thing that came up was vocabulary. Not just natural, but precise.
Absolutely. There was this very round quiz.
Love that one.
Yeah, it was great for showing how replacing words like very plus an adjective with a single stronger word makes a huge difference. So instead of very strange, you say bizarre.
Or very poor could be broke. Instantly more vivid.
Exactly. More impactful.
What were some other good ones? I remember feeling like, wow, that's a simple fix. Well, it demonstrates a wider vocabulary range and more precision, which is key for higher bands. Think very perfect, much better is flawless. Very happy, maybe elated, carries more weight, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely more feeling.
Very painful could become excruciating. And for very messy, you've got options like untidy, disheveled, maybe cluttered, disorganized. It shows you have control. You can pick the right word.
It really does. And that tied into the IELTS English versus normal English thing too, didn't it? How we sometimes try too hard to sound, I don't know, academic.
Oh, totally. Like saying, I would like to articulate my perspective regarding this significant matter.
Who talks like that? Such a mouthful.
Exactly. In a normal chat or even a good exam answer, you'd just say, I want to tell you something important, or maybe I want to share my thoughts on this. Much clearer. And I would be tremendously grateful if you could provide me with assistance. Just becomes, I'd be so happy if you help. It really drives home that clear, direct language is better than overly complex stuff. Saying, this just doesn't work is often way better than this methodology is highly ineffective.
Right. Be understood easily. That's the goal.
That's communication, basically.
Okay, so we get why natural and precise language is important. But applying it under pressure, that's the tricky part. What did the Band 9 feedback say about actual strategies for the speaking test?
Yeah, this is where it gets really practical. For part 1, the interview part, the big tip was, don't just list things.
Okay.
So if they ask, what's your favorite food? Don't just say, I like pizza, I like burgers, I like sushi. Full stop.
That doesn't show much.
Exactly. It's much, much better to pick 1, maybe 2, and then explain why. Like, actually, I really love Thai food because, and then give a reason, maybe a little story or detail about the flavors or a memory. That lets you show off your grammar and vocabulary more naturally. You're developing the idea.
That makes total sense. Quality over quantity. Gives the examiner more to work with. But what if you freeze up? Like, you can't think of the why immediately. Any quick tips for that?
Yeah, good question. Happens to everyone. A quick mental trick is to think. Reason, example, or comparison. So, why pizza? Reason. It's so versatile. Example, I had it with friends last week and it was great. Comparison, it's quicker than cooking a full meal. Just having those hooks can help you build out an answer even when you're nervous.
Ooh, I like that. Reason, example, comparison. Handy. Okay, and then part 3, the discussion part.
Right. Part 3 is about discussing abstract ideas. The key there is to really develop your answers and, crucially, show you can see different sides of an issue, even if you don't personally agree with all the points you mention.
Oh, okay.
The example given was about parents helping kids with homework. A good answer might say, yes, it's generally helpful, but, and then acknowledge that maybe some parents are too busy, or perhaps doing too much hinders the child's independence.
Gotcha. So you're showing you can think about it from multiple angles.
Precisely. It raises the important point that they're testing more than just language. They want to see critical thinking, your ability to handle complex ideas. That's high-level discussion.
Right. It's not just about vocabulary lists.
Not at all. And you need to be ready for anything, topic-wise. The sources mentioned a huge range. Daily routines, dreams, emails, exercise, visiting family, celebrations, mountains, trees, the weather, TV shows, advertising.
Wow. That's pretty broad.
It is.
All right.
Which means you really do need a flexible vocabulary and the ability to think on your feet about all sorts of things. It's not about memorizing scripts. It's about genuine communicative ability.
Okay, so it really reinforces that natural, flexible use of language. It's not just about speaking, is it? How does all this help with, say, listening or reading or writing?
Oh, it's completely interconnected. These skills reinforce each other. Building that precise vocabulary, for example, through things like the synonyms quiz we saw.
Right, like knowing significant isn't always the same as important.
Exactly. Or generate versus create, intricate versus detailed. Knowing the subtle differences helps you understand nuances when you read or listen, and helps you choose the perfect word when you write. It's about precision across the board.
And there was that other vocabulary quiz, too, picking the right word for the sentence, like knowing conclusive versus similar words or explicit versus implicit. That takes real understanding, not just memorization.
Definitely. And something learners often skip, but which came up in the emojis quiz, was idioms.
Ah, yes, the fun ones.
They are fun, but also crucial. Understanding things like straight from the horse's mouth or once in a blue moon.
Meaning rarely.
Or apple of my eye, killed 2 birds with 1 stone, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Knowing these is vital. You hear them constantly in native speech. You see them in writing sometimes. Understanding them boosts comprehension massively.
It helps you sound more natural if you can use them correctly, I guess.
Absolutely. And even looking at slang, like that Gen Alpha versus Millennials quiz.
Yeah. Yapping slay!
Right. While you probably wouldn't use yapping in your IELTS essay, knowing it exists, knowing language changes and evolves, shows you're engaged with real English. It's part of being culturally aware, linguistically aware.
It all points towards needing lots of exposure, doesn't it?
It really does. Consistent, varied exposure. The sources mention listening extensively, like someone listened to 80 podcast episodes. That kind of immersion really helps internalize the rhythms, the vocabulary, the natural flow of the language without even consciously studying sometimes.
Yeah, you just absorb it, like learning your first language.
Kind of, yeah. It gets you familiar with how it all sounds and fits together.
So wrapping things up a bit, preparing for IELTS, it's clearly more than just cramming for a test. It feels like a journey in becoming a better English communicator overall.
Totally. It connects to that idea of the IELTS season. Some sources mention that period where you're really focused maybe for study or travel goals. But it's ongoing improvement. It's a marathon, like you said earlier, not a sprint. Every little bit counts.
And that sense of community, or at least feedback, seems important too. Like that call for listener feedback in one source, engaging, reflecting on how you're doing, that keeps it going.
Yeah, definitely. It stops it feeling like such a lonely struggle. And, the most encouraging bit for me was linking that bandline feedback with the discussion about that Eminem documentary.
Oh, yeah. How so?
It highlighted how massive self-doubt can be, even for incredibly talented people. But ultimately, it's that determination, that passion combined with smart, consistent practice that gets you there, even to a band 9. Believing you can improve and actually enjoying the process a bit seems just as vital as knowing the grammar rules.
That's a great point. It's the mindset as well as the method.
Exactly.
So, okay, key takeaways for you listening. Really work on sounding natural, not just correct. Build that precise, wide-ranging vocabulary. Get smart about test strategies, especially for speaking, and just keep engaging with real English consistently.
Yeah, I think this deep dive really gave us a glimpse behind the curtain, didn't it? Into what truly high-level English communication looks like and how to prepare effectively for something like IELTS. It's about being clear, authentic, impactful.
So think about how you can use these ideas yourself. Where can you bring more natural language into your practice? Maybe try explaining why more in your speaking, or dive into some idioms.
What really stood out to you from all this today? How are you going to maybe tweak your own English journey now to make it feel a bit more natural, maybe more precise, or just, bigger?
Talk to fluency from beginner to fluent.
Take your English skills to the next level.